Yeah.
Rafter T Ranch is a 5,200-acre ranch. It's in a family corporation. My dad bought it in 1962, and of course his estate planning was he doesn't want to owe anything when he dies, so he gifted shares out to all the children, the grandchildren, and so now we have 17 owners of the property. And I was 12 years old when he bought the property. We had moved from Davie, Florida, which is down near Fort Lauderdale and Miami. He bought a property down there after World War II that was knee-deep on the cows for about 6 months out of the year, sold that, moved to Okeechobee. The dairy industry moved out of South Florida. He sold that to the dairy industry, and we moved to Sebring. So for my dad, he's not an agriculturalist beginning, but it was a wonderful real estate investment, speculation, and now he's got 17 family members who have a beautiful 5,200-acre ranch in Central Florida.
Awesome. Why in the world did you get involved with World Wildlife Fund? You should have known better than that.
There's a long story. I have a...
Well, you're going to have to abbreviate it today.
I'll try to abbreviate it. As a 12-year-old kid, I fell in love with this piece of property. My dad had hired a man and a woman that worked for him for 20 years. They became like my third set of grandparents. He was an old-timer who had been in the cattle business when Florida was open range. So I learned a lot from him, you know, grew to love the business, grew to love the land. And about the time my dad bought this is when they just finished up dredging the Kissimmee River. Jim just talked about that a minute ago. The Kissimmee River had these great big oxbows and had floodplains that during the rainy season might be 2.5, 3 miles wide. The water from the Orlando area drained into Lake Kissimmee, flowed through the Kissimmee River to Lake Okeechobee. And that water used to take about 8 months to flow from Lake Kissimmee to Lake Okeechobee. Now it takes a month. So I've seen, you know, over the, how old am I? The past 47 years, I've seen a lot of degradation in Florida. And I've been involved in real estate and land development in the state, have been involved with the ownership of properties that came under environmental acquisition. Under the Endangered Species Act, we ran into problems developing that property because we had species that were indigenous to xeric upland scrub. They were, what was the words? They were rare, they were precious, the land was priceless, and we're going to give you $1,000 an acre for this land because you can't do anything else with it because of the regulation. So at that time I started forming the mentality, well, if these species are rare and they're priceless and they're so valuable, why, instead of regulating the uses of my land away from me, why wouldn't they want to offer me compensation for having these species and maybe managing the land in such a productive manner that I would have more and more and more of them? You know, and I saw the Endangered Species Act create what we called the shoot and shovel mentality. If I had an eagle's nest and it was creating a liability for me in the use of my land, naturally I didn't want it there. So the idea of getting paid for some environmental services kind of was born within me at that time. So now we're in the more modern day era, and we are involved with developing a conservation plan for the ranch in conjunction with the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. And one of the young women who was involved with helping me develop that plan had heard about FRESP and came to me one day and said, "Jimmy, you need to read this article on FRESP. Your property would be a perfect candidate to have this kind of project on there." So I immediately Googled up FRESP, read the article. I think it was in the Florida Cattleman's magazine, but read the article and then called her back, said, yeah, I like that idea and I want to learn more. So we started having some,
Let me do a quick audible.
okay.
Jim Handley, how did you guys get connected? Because what I'm hearing is that Jimmy got connected through you. How'd you guys get connected with World Wildlife Fund and FRESP and the rest of the stakeholders?
Well, in the very early days with Sarah, she actually contacted me, and I believe it was the initial meeting, Sarah, in Okeechobee, when you and I and Wes Williamson, and we just started brainstorming. But our interest is we've got some tremendous environmentalists that ranch in Florida, just like Jimmy. Jimmy's an award-winning environmentalist. He's recognized for taking care of the woods and the wildlife and many threatened and endangered species. And this offered the potential for one more tool, one more mechanism that might keep us ranching and enhance what we're already doing with the environment. So we went in with our eyes wide open. We didn't go in aggressively endorsing. We said, let's see where it goes. Who knows? How are they going to measure it? What are the restrictions going to be? But everybody went with a very open mind, and with Sarah's leading the way, they just talked through it, and it appealed to people, just as Jimmy has described.
Jim?
There are things we can do.
Yeah.
And
Jim, excuse me.
so we help publicize it.
Excuse me, this is Matt again. Did anybody call you up and criticize you for getting in bed with the devil?
Oh no. Well, we don't. We have a great relationship. Certainly, we're not.
Early on, nobody.
We're very open-ended, very open with our ranchers, and say, hey, we're not forcing anything down your throat. We're not saying this is the winning formula. This is one more alternative and option.
Did any of your cattlemen question your relationship with World Wildlife Fund early on? Just question it and challenge it.
Oh, they scratch their heads. What are y'all doing? Certainly, we didn't jump out and spend association dollars to a great degree. Our role has been to communicate and educate and share information.
Great.
And each individual rancher negotiates. Here's what he can offer, and he negotiates what his ranch might be able to do, and how they could become a player in it.
Excellent. So your role and responsibility was act as a conduit?
Sure. I would say that, and Sarah would ask me about people, and I would describe them and describe their ranches, and
Awesome.
just so she could accelerate. Who do I talk to at this ranch? Who do I talk to at this ranch? I mean, they are multi-generations, and it just helped accelerate her get to the decision makers, bring them to the table, and just physically understand where the operations are, and maybe some of the landscapes that exist.
Now I could spend, I know we all couldn't, but I could spend hours talking to you guys about this story and the key things. What I'd like to ask you, Jimmy, is what are the 3 most important things of why you're involved with this and lessons that you've learned? Why are you involved with it, and what lessons have you learned along the way?
I think I'm involved with it because I have seen over the years that we need to have more collaboration between the private industry and the environmental advocacy groups. For many years I saw that the two would always be polarizing each other. They'd be on the attack, one against the other, and we got to find common ground. I mean, that's all there is to it.
So getting together and doing the right thing. Why else?
Why else?
Yeah.
Well, we got 17 shareholders. I would love for this property to stay as one cohesive unit. I brought most of the, not all the shareholders. I brought my generation of shareholders into this decision making to go move forward with this. The ranch has turned into kind of a glue for our family. Not everybody's involved with the ranch. Not everybody could be, but we have certain members that are involved with agriculture. I got a couple of calf roping addicts. We got some hunting Africandos, but the ranch has always been a gathering place for the entire family.
So you describe your shareholders as your family members. It's for your family?
That's correct.
Okay, that's awesome. Is there any other reason?
Well, I see that 47 years on the property, I see that we can continue operating in the same capacity without cutting production and still operate this as a water management unit. This is the ranch here. You can see we have WMA 3 North, WMA 3 South, WMA 4.
What I'm going to ask is during the networking session tonight, people are going to come up to you and ask you for some more specifics around this, because I got a shortcut. I apologize.
That's okay.
Because we got to talk about some California stuff real quickly here. But so you aren't getting paid for this?
Yes, we are.
Oh, you are.
That makes it very attractive.
Okay, that is awesome. We're going to get more details in one-on-one discussions and opportunities. I have to cut it short. I apologize. But Sarah, if there were 2 key takeaways from your perspective, what would they be?
Strength and diversity. This should be working.
Good. Thank
Strength
you.
and diversity, and it takes time, money, and people.
Time, money, people. Jim Handley, key takeaways from yours. Why is this successful?
Oh, just cooperation, and the private landowners will want to see the environment maintained. So over-communicate.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you very much.